All right, guys, welcome to Mrs. Dronda's Crash Course. In each of these videos, we're going to go over one quick topic that you'll need to know for your midterm. My best advice to you guys on how to use these videos is to look at a question, pause the video, try it on your own, and then watch it for an explanation, because otherwise you're going to wind up just watching me do it and feeling maybe a little overly confident. So as I work through these, pause the video, use them to interact, and as always, if you guys have questions, send them my way. In this video, we're going to talk about factoring completely. So I would advise you now to pause the video. You've got a bunch of questions on the screen you can look at. Hit play when you're ready to go over them. Okay, so let's start. So anytime you're factoring, the very first thing I want you doing is looking for a GCF. So when I look at something like this, they all are even, it's divisible by 2, and x cubed, x squared, and x, so I can take out a 2x from this. And that leaves me with x squared plus x minus 6. Now, what's left is a trinomial. My leading coefficient's just 1. So add and multiply. Remember, there's a 1 in there. And the numbers that add to be 1, and multiply to be negative 6 would be x plus 3, x minus 2. Done. Can't factor either of those further. All right, the next one, same. Look for a GCF. So here I can take out a 2, and that leaves me with x squared minus 9. Now, I can factor that further because that's a difference of squares. X minus 3, x plus 3. Done. Right? Once you have an x to the first, you can't factor it further. All right, now let's look at a weird one. So now I've got an x to the fourth, and it's like an equals. It's an equation, not an expression. And if you worked on this, you probably said it wasn't factorable, which is good because there was a typo. So we're going to fix that. We're going to make that an 18. So this one, I've got x to the fourth plus 7x squared minus 18 equals 0. Now, it did not ask me to solve this. It just asked me to factor it. So that's where I'm going to stop. If it said solve, we'd go one step further. But the thing that screws people up here is the x to the fourth and x squared. When this looks like a trinomial with a leading coefficient of 1, and you've got your leading degree, your x to the fourth, your leading exponent, being double your previous one, you can still factor this the normal way. And here's why. The way I would get x to the fourth is by doing x squared times x squared. Then when I do x squared times that, I'll get x squared times that, I'll get x squared. So that's okay. So now we're going to look at this and say, okay, what numbers add to be 7 and multiply to be 18? Negative 18. So there's going to be a plus and there's going to be a minus. 18, I think 9 and 2. It's got to be plus 9 and minus 2. Now that is a sum of squares. It is not factorable. And that is a difference, but 2 is not a perfect square. So that is as far as I can factor it over the integers. All right, let's look at another one. So x to the fourth minus x squared equals 9. So I'm going to move that over to the other side. And again, now we're going to try to factor it. So I think, okay, that's x to the fourth. That's, x squared, because they have to multiply to be x to the fourth. What adds to be negative 10 and multiplies to be 9. So that's going to be negative 9 and negative 1. Now, these are both difference of squares. So this is going to be x minus 3 and x plus 3. And this is going to be x minus 1, x plus 1. If you were solving, then you'd set each one of those equal to 0, but we're not, so we're done. Okay, one more, and then we'll look at the ones from class. X to the fourth minus 16. So this is a perfect square. X squared and x squared, 4 and 4, plus minus. I can't factor a sum of squares any further, but I can factor a difference of squares further. And boom, that is factored completely. So the ones that we did in class, just in our review, let's go over these quick. On this one, I'm going to take out the GCF, and then it's x to the fourth minus 5x squared minus 36. And then I'm going to find what adds to be the middle and multiplies to be the end. So x plus 9, x squared plus 9, x squared minus 4. The x squared plus 9, you know what, Mrs. G? That's minus 9 because it's negative 5. The x squared minus 9 we can factor further. And the x squared plus 4 is a sum, so it is done. And then the last one, this was pretty similar, x to the fourth minus 81. So this was x squared minus 9, x squared plus 9. You can't factor the sum anymore, but the difference, you can. And that is how you factor completely. So make sure you're always checking, is there any further that I can go? If you still have questions, send them to me, and otherwise, good luck studying.